She was just a farmer, a quiet woman who worked her land alone and kept to herself. Then, one afternoon, a passenger jet lost both engines above her farm. 7 minutes from disaster, no airport in reach. And her voice came on the radio. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Grace Miller lived alone on a small farm at the edge of a quiet town in Nebraska. She grew corn and wheat on her land, and she took care of her animals every morning before the sun came up. Her neighbors saw her almost every day. They knew her as a simple woman who worked hard and never talked much about her past. She smiled when people greeted her, helped when someone needed a hand, and went back to her farm work without any fuss. Nobody in town knew that Grace had once flown planes for the Air Force. Nobody knew she had spent 15 years in the sky, flying through storms and danger, guiding damaged aircraft safely to the ground. She never told anyone. She liked her quiet life, and she wanted to keep it that way. That afternoon started like any other day. Grace was fixing a fence near her barn when she heard a strange sound coming from her old radio inside the house. It was a radio she kept from her flying days, an old habit she never gave up. She walked inside to check it, and what she heard made her drop the tools in her hand.
Mayday! 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 This is Flight 582! We have lost both engines! We are losing height fast! We need help!
Grace froze for a second. Then she ran outside and looked up at the sky. Far above her farm, she saw a large passenger plane. It was moving slowly, too slowly, and it was losing height every second. She knew right away that something was very wrong. A plane that big should never fly that low unless it was in serious trouble. She rushed back inside and grabbed her old radio. Her hands were shaking, but her mind was calm. This was not new to her. She had trained for years to stay calm in danger. She switched the radio to the emergency channel and called air traffic control. "This is Grace Miller. I am a farmer near Millbrook, Nebraska. I can see Flight 582 above my land. It looks like the plane is losing engine power fast." The voice on the other side sounded tired and worried. "Ma'am, we are aware of the situation, but this channel is for emergency use only."
"I understand," Grace said, "but I used to fly planes for the Air Force. I have experience with engine failures. I also have a large flat field that could work as a landing spot if the pilot needs one." There was a short pause. Then a new voice came on, sounding older and more serious. "This is Flight Control Supervisor James Carter. What is your background, ma'am?"
15 years in the Air Force. I flew many kinds of aircraft, and I trained pilots to handle emergencies. Right now, that plane does not have much time. I have a flat field, and it could save every single person on that flight."
James Carter did not waste time. "Stand by."
Grace looked through her old binoculars at the plane above her. She could see one engine completely stopped and smoke coming from the other. The plane was dropping fast, and she knew every second mattered. In her mind, she quickly checked the details she remembered from her training: wind direction, field length, weight of a large passenger jet. She had done this kind of thinking many times before, but never on her own farm, and never with so many lives depending on her. Her radio crackled again. "Flight 582. This is air traffic control. We have a former Air Force pilot near your position. She has years of experience and a large flat field nearby. Do you want to try her guidance?" The pilot's voice came through, tired but hopeful. "Yes. Please connect me. We need any help we can get."
Grace switched to the emergency frequency. She took a breath, closed her eyes for 1 second, and then spoke in a clear and steady voice. "Flight 582. This is Grace. I can see your aircraft. I have experience guiding damaged planes. I am going to help you land safely. Do you copy?" "I copy," the pilot answered.
"This is Captain Daniel Lewis. Please, tell me you can help us."
"I can,"
Grace said, "but you must listen carefully and follow every instruction exactly as I say it."
"I will," Captain Lewis said. "We have 112 passengers on board and 6 crew members. Everyone is buckled in and scared, but they are following instructions." Grace looked at her field. She had harvested it only 2 weeks earlier, so the ground was firm and mostly clear. She knew every part of that land because she had worked on it for years.
Captain, what is your current altitude and speed?
We are at 12,000 feet, dropping about 1,800 feet per minute. Speed is 170 knots. Grace did quick math in her head. That gives us about 7 minutes. I need you to turn slightly to your left, toward heading 260 degrees. That will line you up with my field. Turning now, the captain replied. As the plane began to turn, Grace kept her eyes on the sky and her voice steady on the radio. Captain, your new runway is a large flat field on your left side, past the small line of trees. You will need to clear those trees by at least 80 feet. Understood. Gear down? Not yet. Wait until you are at 8,000 feet. Then set your flaps to the first landing position and lower your landing gear. The plane kept descending, and Grace kept giving directions, one careful step at a time. She reminded the captain about wind direction, about keeping his speed steady, about staying calm even when his instruments would tell him things were going wrong. 10,000 feet, Captain Lewis said, his voice getting tighter. You are doing well, Grace said. Just breathe and trust the numbers. Keep your speed at 160 knots. That will give you the best chance of reaching the field safely. 8,000 feet. Gear down. Flaps set. Good! Now watch for a small farmhouse below you. That is my house. My field starts right after it. You need to clear the trees on the east side by at least 80 feet. Then bring your nose up gently before you touch down. The plane kept coming down, slow and steady, but every second felt heavy with danger. Grace could see people's pale faces through some of the plane's windows as it got closer. She could not think about that too much. She had to focus only on numbers, angles, and speed. 5,000 feet, the captain said. Everyone is holding on. Flight attendants say passengers are in brace position. You are almost there, Captain. Stay steady. When you reach 500 feet, the trees will be right below you. Clear them, then bring your nose up slowly for the landing. Copy that. 500 feet. Trees ahead. Ease up now. Nose up. Let the plane float just a little before it touches the ground. The huge plane cleared the trees by what looked like only a few feet, then leveled out just above the wheat field. Grace watched, her heart pounding, as the wheels touched the ground with a heavy bump. The plane bounced once, then came down hard, plowing through the dry field, sending dust and broken stalks into the air. Brakes! Brakes as hard as you can! Grace shouted into the radio. Full brakes! No reverse thrust without engines! The captain shouted back. The plane kept sliding through the field, slower and slower, the wheels cutting deep tracks into the dirt. Grace watched with her heart in her throat as the plane finally came to a stop, only a short distance from the edge of her property, near an old fence line. For a moment, everything was silent.
Then Grace was running toward the plane as fast as she could.
Emergency vehicles were already racing down the road behind her, lights flashing, sirens filling the air. The emergency doors opened, and slides came down. People began climbing out, one by one, stumbling onto the field. Some were crying. Some were laughing with relief. Many were hugging each other tightly. Captain Lewis came down last, his uniform covered in sweat, his hands still shaking. He looked at Grace standing there in her work clothes, dirt on her boots, and stared at her like he could not believe what he was seeing. "You saved us," he said. "All of us." "You flew the plane," Grace said quietly. "I just gave directions." "No," he said. "You gave us a chance. That is more than anyone else could offer us today." One by one, passengers came to thank her. A young mother held her baby close and told Grace that her child would grow up because of what she did. An older man shook her hand for a long time without saying anything at all, tears in his eyes. A teenage boy said he had been recording a video message to his parents, thinking it would be his last, and now he would get to see them again. Grace did not know what to say to any of them. She had only done what she was trained to do many years ago, in a life she thought she had left behind. Later that evening, after investigators had asked her many questions, Grace sat quietly on her porch. Her old radio was still turned on beside her, just like it always was. She looked up at the sky, calm now, with stars beginning to appear. She thought about the years she had spent flying, about the training she thought she would never use again, and about the way her past had suddenly returned when it was needed the most. She realized that she had never really stopped being a pilot. She had only changed her uniform for a pair of work boots. The next morning, news trucks lined up outside her farm. Reporters wanted to know everything about the quiet farmer who had saved 118 lives with nothing but an old radio and years of forgotten training. Grace answered their questions simply, without pride, saying only that she had done what anyone with her experience would have done. But deep inside, she knew the truth. She was not just a farmer. She never had been. She was, and always would be, someone who knew how to bring people home safely, no matter where she stood, in a cockpit high above the clouds, or in a quiet wheat field on the ground. And every night after that day, she kept her old radio turned on, just in case someone, somewhere, needed her voice again.